When people first get an iPad, one of the first things they want to do is to use it to send and receive emails. So we can look at setting up an email account and how to use the email application. If you don't have an email account already set up, as soon as you tap on the email icon, you'll get this. Depending on your settings, you can choose to have an iCloud account, a Microsoft Exchange account, Gmail, Yahoo, and so on. If you have an iCloud account, tap the iCloud and fill in your settings. If you have Gmail, tap the Gmail and fill in your settings. So I'm going to fill in my settings. I'm going to obviously hide my password, but I'll show you how to set up an email account for Gmail. Type in the name. That's just so I know which account I'm looking at. Now if you hit the return key, you go to the next line down, or you can use your finger and tap on it. The iPad tutor at Gmail. That's my email address. Return key, so now I can put in my password. For the description, you can type in something that makes sense. If you've only got the one account, Gmail's fine. I quite often have several accounts, so I actually put in here my email account so I know which is which. So when you've typed in your description, tap the next, and your iPad will go on the internet and search for your account and make sure you've got the right password. Now you can choose what parts you want to link to this particular email account. You can link calendars, notes, and of course your email. If you don't want one, you can just turn it off. Tap it to turn it back on again. And if you change your mind later on, you can come back and make changes to these. We're going to save that. And there's my email account. If I hold my iPad horizontal, I get a left-hand bar. I get all of my mail, one after the other. I get a kind of a preview, 2 or 3 lines. If I hold my iPad vertically, I don't get that preview any longer. I have to tap the inbox to see that preview. I quite often prefer to hold my iPad landscape so that I can see that preview easily. Here's an email. I can choose to store that in a folder. I can tap a folder and that email is now placed into that folder under important information. To compose mail, you click on the button or tap the button at the top right hand corner. Type in your email address. This is who you're sending it to. You might find that as you type their email address, it automatically finds their name in your contacts. Tap for the subject. So I've just tapped my finger there. I can type in a message, test, and now let's click on the send button. That email's now been sent to myself, and there it goes. Now we should find that my email's come back to me. And there it is. My test sent from my iPad. If I want to reply to that message, I tap that button and I can choose to reply or forward. Sometimes when you reply to an email, you do not want to have all this information here. Double tap and you get these 2 little lollipops. Drag one of them right across and you can drag it up. Hit the delete key and it will delete all of that information. I'm just going to delete my draft. I can also forward that on to other people, or I can print it if I have a connected printer. clicked on the Home button to go back to the settings, and I want to have a look at my mail again. So I have here an iCloud account which I can use for my mail. It's currently switched off. I can turn that on. Don't want to, but I can use it to collect my contacts, my calendars, and so on. I can tap on the iPad shooter, and I can use that to collect my mail, my calendars, and so on. Fetch new data is set to push, and I've got mine set to be manual. If you set it to every 15 minutes, it will go and fetch your email every 15 minutes. I prefer to have it manually. And one of the things I also like is to change my preview to 5 lines. Let's go back to our Home button and then back to our email. You can see now with my 5 lines of preview that you can get a pretty good idea of what each email is about. If you don't want to have one of those emails, you can slide your finger across, and there's my archive button. It's not quite like deleting. There's actually a setting which changes that, and it's the same as the button just here. This is also the archive button. If you want to, you can tap the edit, and then you can choose which of those ones you want to archive, and each time you choose one, you'll see that you get a preview of the email on the right hand side, so you can have a good read of it before you decide whether or not to archive that. Tap on it again to change your mind that you don't want to archive those, or cancel to stop that. I'm going to go back to my settings. This part here, archive messages it's called, this is where you can choose to archive your messages, which keeps them. So even though you've deleted the message or archived the message, it is still kept on the server. If you turn that off, then you no longer archive the messages, it deletes them completely. So let's have a look at that. Back to my email. So if I drag my cursor across, it's got delete. Now that will permanently remove that from the server. I've clicked on the Home button. Let's put that back the way it was. So it's back to archive. That's how I prefer mine. One thing that might help you is to change the minimum font size to large, and that should make it easier to read your emails. Let's just have a look at my emails and see what that looks like. And you might notice that the font is larger now. Not so much in the preview pane, but certainly in the reading area. It's a much larger font. You can try, if you're having trouble with reading, you can try gigantic. If you lose an email, you can search for one. I could search for any email from Jonathan. So there's nothing from Jonathan. What about subject as Jonathan? No. And if you tap all, then it'll find something about Jonathan. When you're finished searching, tap on the cancel to return back to your emails.